Hi everyone, today we're going to talk about the disintegration and reconstruction of France, reviewing section 15 of chapter 3. So, first guiding question for today's notes is what were the distinguishing features of France in the early modern period? So, a couple of characteristics of France that contribute to these distinguishing features. It was very large in size, very populous, and extremely diverse. Many areas were under the titular rule of the French king, but they maintained their own culture and legal traditions. This diversity was compounded by religion, as many, particularly the nobles, became Calvinists while the monarchy held tightly onto its Gallican liberties. For example, in 1516, the king had won the right to appoint bishops to the French Catholic Church. So the monarchy felt threatened by what seemed to be a challenge not only to the established church, but also to itself. The adoption of Calvinism by at least one-third of the nobility appeared as a feudal rebellion. Protestantism in France developed without government support and adopted radical forms. So it's not the moderate forms established by political authorities in Germany and England. And here as they are, what I just said. So, threatened by the challenge to established church, a third of the nobility adopted Calvinism, and the Protestantism adopted radical forms. This is significant because it's different than Germany and England, as political authorities established reforms there. Protestantism spread particularly in southwest France throughout the nobility and also to many towns. The unskilled laboring population was least attracted to the change. You can see in this map, particularly the Huguenot lands in purple, where Protestantism spread. Next question is how and why did religious wars begin in France and who won? So, in the 1550s, persecution of Huguenots, as the French Calvinists became to be called, began, compounded by the accidental death of Henry II in 1559 and the regency of his widow, Catherine de' Medici. So, in this power vacuum that ensued, the Protestant nobles took to arms and France descended into anarchy. Three major factions emerged, and they are the Catholic forces under the Duc de Guise, it should say de Guise, Guise, and then the Protestant forces under Admiral de Coligny and Henry of Bourbon, King Navarre, and Catherine's royal faction that was in the middle. So the crisis came to a head in 1572 when Catherine ordered a massacre of Protestants celebrating the marriage of Henry Navarre. The St. Bartholomew's Day massacre was a bloodbath leading to the death of thousands of Protestants, Coligny included. Henry survived by temporarily changing religions, and the result of the massacre was to intensify the hostility of the various groups and to engender more violence. So the religious wars, they were dragged out with foreign troops invited in by various factions until a group of moderates called the Politiques emerged to challenge the notion that religion ought to be the chief determinant of France's destiny. Primarily secularists, they sought to restore order. Now, Jean Bodin, and he was a political philosopher who developed the modern idea of sovereignty and argued for strong centralized power in the person of the monarch, and Henry of Navarre, they are both notable Politiques. All right, 1589, Henry of Navarre became King Henry IV after the assassination of both the reigning king and the leader of the Catholic Party, establishing the Bourbon dynasty. Henry converted to Catholicism in recognition of the primacy of that religion in France, but issued the Edict of Nantes granting Protestants limited religious freedom and civil rights, fortified towns, and mixed chambers in some courts. France achieved a greater compromise that had England or Germany in the treatment of religious minorities. Henry IV was a highly effective king. He restored order and prosperity and asserted royal Prerogatives. He never once called the Estates General into a session, laying down the foundation for royal absolutism, which will be our next unit. Henry IV was assassinated in 1610. His widow, Marie de Medici, was less forceful in subduing the nobles and the Catholic clergy, who forced her to call the Estates General into session in 1614. When it was dismissed, it was not called again until 1788, 1789. All right, lastly, Cardinal Richelieu became the chief advisor to Henry IV and Mary's son, Louis VIII. He strengthened the economy through mercantilist initiatives and restrained the nobles by banning private warfare. After a Huguenot rebellion in 1627, the Edict of Nantes was amended to reduce the political rights of Huguenots who also lost their fortified cities in the Peace of Arras. Sorry. There we go. And that's it, folks. After you watch this video, you can fill out the Google form that's on Google Classroom, and then we're going to do a primary source activity. Thanks for watching.